What's going on, guys and gals? Your main man, Pete here. And today, I'm really excited to talk a little bit about my experience quitting coffee, caffeine, for 6 months. It was one of the most intense experiences I've ever had in my entire life. And it was so impactful that I felt compelled to share my experiences. Before I quit, I would research the benefits of quitting coffee and the benefits of drinking coffee. I would weigh the pros and cons, eventually decide to quit for a few weeks or a month, and then eventually start drinking coffee again, drinking caffeine again. And this went on for years. I would drink caffeine, quit caffeine, drink caffeine, quit caffeine. I finally decided, after having watched a few videos online that explained you have to quit for more than 3 months to truly experience all of the effects of caffeine withdrawals, all of the effects of living without caffeine in your life. So instead of quitting for 3 months, I decided to quit for 6 months, half of a year. And I can honestly say from the bottom of my heart, it changed me forever, in good ways and in bad ways. Will I ever take breaks down the road? Absolutely. And I will elaborate upon that later on in this video. Will I ever officially quit caffeine and never drink it again? Absolutely not. Because the effects were terrible. I'll elaborate upon that as well as this video continues. Quitting coffee was truly a humbling experience. But before we dive in, allow me to explain how long and how much caffeine I consumed throughout my life. So, growing up, my parents always drank coffee. Every morning, they had a huge pot of coffee brewing. And growing up, I would smell that every day. So the ritual of not just drinking coffee, but smelling coffee was truly impactful. I loved the smell of coffee brewing. Right around 12, 13 years of age is when I had my first cup, and I absolutely loved how I felt. I pretty much drank coffee from that point on, and consistently. But I never abused it. I know a lot of people tend to abuse caffeine, and that's when it truly starts to deteriorate your life. And I'll elaborate upon that later in this video as well. First and foremost, please bear with me. This is going to be something of a long video. I have so much to share because quitting caffeine is so impactful that it would be impossible for me to share all the information and everything that I experienced in a short video. So I know this video is long. Please bear with me. Take a seat, relax, sit back. That's why I have ambient music playing in this beautiful coffee shop. So, as I said, I started drinking coffee right around 12 or 13 years of age. I never really struggled with coffee because I live a very strict life, as I am very obsessive compulsive, and I have routines that I have to abide by. I'm a creature of habit. I'm very routine oriented. That might have to do with being in and around the military for the last 20 years. With that being said, I think it's also just a part of my personality. So I personally never drank or drink caffeine after 11 o'clock, unless it's decaf. And if it's decaf, it's never after 3. So that is a huge point that everyone needs to remember. I'll elaborate upon that later on in this video, and I know I keep saying that, but I need to share things in a specific order so that you understand adequately what I'm trying to convey. I decided to start drinking less coffee about a year ago because at that time I felt like in the morning when I did drink caffeine, I wasn't as stimulated. I think my body, after 20 years of drinking caffeine, started acclimating to that consumption and dosage. So I actually found myself 2 years ago drinking more coffee in order to feel good. And I didn't like that. I didn't like how my life revolved around having to increase my dosage over time. And sometimes if I drank too much, I felt anxious and unhinged. If I didn't drink enough, I felt really lethargic and lazy. So as time went on, I decided to start lowering my dosage down to around 100 milligrams in the morning. And I never drank caffeine, like I had mentioned previously, or coffee after 11 o'clock, unless it's decaf. Because personally, for me, decaf doesn't derogatorily impact me in any way, shape, or form. But with all that being said, I kept seeing all these videos online. People talking about their experiences and how they quit coffee and their life changed and they became a better person and they looked younger and they felt more productive. And I was inspired by this. Most of those videos were made by people that only quit for 1 month. A few quit for 3 months. I was inspired. So I decided to buckle down and officially quit. But before I decided to quit, I watched a lot of videos regarding the science of caffeine, the psychology of withdrawal. In fact, during my time spent in university, I actually wrote 2 elaborate, in-depth research papers regarding caffeine consumption in the human brain, the psychology of withdrawal as well, and the results that I observed were fascinating, to say the least. And what I learned through my research was you cannot quit for just a month and get it entirely out of your system. This is a drug. And the longer you consume that drug, the more it impacts your entire body and brain. So, if you've been drinking caffeine for a lifetime like me, you need to spend a substantial amount of time eliminating that drug from your body. And not just eliminating it from your body, adapting to a whole new lifestyle, because quitting caffeine is literally going to change every facet of your life. And most of that, not in a good way. And I'll elaborate upon that later in this video. So, I finally decided to quit. I wrote multiple research papers in university. I watched a substantial amount of content. I was inspired, determined, motivated, and I felt it was time to take the leap. I had enough knowledge to do so. So I decided to quit officially for 6 months. And I'm going to say to you right now, it was one of the worst and hardest 6 months of my entire existence. And here's the crazy part. It was worse after the withdrawals. Now, I know a lot of people say that the first few weeks are the worst. Actually, they weren't that bad for me. And the reason why they weren't that bad for me is because I meditate a lot. The number one side effect people tend to suffer from when quitting caffeine: headaches. The reason why is because scientifically, your blood vessels in your brain start to actually widen and expand due to the fact that caffeine actually lowers the blood vasodilation to your brain, the cerebral blood flow. So less blood is getting to your brain when you drink coffee. And if you drink coffee for many years, the blood vessels in your brain leading to your head are much smaller. Your body adapted to drinking that. And when you stop drinking caffeine, those blood vessels need to adapt. So what happens? They expand. More blood is getting to your brain. You start having headaches. I, however, never had to deal with that because I meditated for years. And I didn't just meditate, I meditated in very specific ways that induced head rushes for supernatural experiences, because I'm really into that stuff. I never had to deal with headaches. The one thing that I did deal with throughout my withdrawal phase was feeling really tired, and I had absolutely no motivation. This lasted for right around 30 days. I just found myself lacking any kind of initiative or motivation. My business suffered. In fact, I actually stopped doing a few different things that I did religiously. I had no motivation to do that. I stopped live streaming for a while. I didn't want to manage a few other businesses that I consistently managed for almost a decade. I didn't want to write. And it was truly a wild time in my life because I had absolutely no motivation. And this is to be expected. Your body is acclimating. That motivation does come back. But does it ever come back to the extent of which it was? And I gave it 6 months. That's half a year. Scientifically, that's a substantial amount of time and enough time for your body to adapt to a whole new lifestyle and routine. I took very little from quitting. The few things that I did take, the two things I will elaborate upon and I must convey, and you must integrate into your life if you decide to continue drinking coffee. But you do need a cleanse and a reset if you decide to continue drinking coffee down the line. I'll get to that. 30 days, I felt miserable. I was tired. I had no motivation. And beyond that, each day after the 30 days, after that first month, I did feel just a bit more motivated. But I did notice, even after the withdrawals, I was moody all the time. I was constantly in a bad mood. In fact, my wife and I never bicker, and we just kept bickering over everything. We just started annoying each other constantly. It was crazy. We both felt like we were walking on eggshells, and we just thought that was part of acclimating and living without caffeine, but it never stopped. In fact, I did a lot of research regarding this, and if you drink caffeine for long enough, it becomes a part of your personality. It becomes a part of your identity. When you stop drinking it, you almost lose sight of who you are. Everything changes, and you almost have to recreate yourself. It's crazy. I felt like I was literally a different person. In fact, I remember shooting videos for YouTube and observing myself and just wondering, who is that? That is not the same person I was, to the extent of 60 days into quitting, not working out nearly as much as I used to. I wasn't as motivated to go to the gym, and I used to go to the gym before I quit 3 days per week minimum for almost a decade, sometimes 5 days per week. When I quit, sometimes one day per week. Granted, I always worked out, but I found that I wanted to work out in more introverted ways. I spent a lot of time running, walking, biking, working out in my home gym. Oddly, I just didn't feel like I wanted to train around people. And it was very peculiar. I felt more introverted than usual. I wasn't as extroverted. I didn't want to communicate with people as much. And typically, when I go to the gym, I'm very communicative. I like to give advice, I like to take advice, and I like to hang out with people. I avoided that. So, when you quit coffee, that's another thing that you have to keep in mind. You might become introverted for quite some time. In fact, I was introverted throughout the entire process, even after 3 months. It changed me. I was a completely different person. I was struggling. It was hard. But so many other bad things happened. And again, I need you to remember that I gave this half a year. That's plenty of time. So these are my honest opinions and experiences having quit coffee for 6 months. Another thing that happened, I felt older. When I was drinking caffeine prior to quitting, I always felt younger than my age. I trained younger than my age. I performed younger, thought younger. I just felt like a younger specimen, and I always aged really well. When I quit coffee 60 days in, Danielle started noticing gray hairs on the top of my head. Can you believe that? Gray hairs on the top of my head. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I feel older. My joints started feeling sore. My knees, my elbows. It's almost as if all those years of hardcore gym training, hardcore sessions were catching up. All that caffeine consumption was making me oblivious to my body, which is why it is important to reset and take breaks. But I'll elaborate upon that in this video, because this video isn't just about my experience quitting for 6 months. This video is going to be about how you can continue drinking caffeine safely and accommodate your joints, accommodate your body, and make this a positive impact on the rest of your life, because there are so many good things that come from drinking caffeine. Scientifically, our bodies can thrive on this so long as we utilize it appropriately and we do not abuse it. In fact, I find that I'm enjoying caffeine more now at 35 than I used to at 20, because I drank it in a very specific way. And you have to listen to me in regards to that later on in this video. But let me continue discussing my journey to quitting. So, 60 days in, gray hairs sprouting, joints are sore, I'm feeling tired, I'm feeling miserable, I'm not motivated. Life is harder, but I would say after about 60 days, maybe a little over 2 months, maybe like 70 days, I started feeling a bit better. And that's when the one positive that I had discussed previously, briefly, kicked in and started happening. The one good thing that started happening to me when I quit caffeine was some of the deepest sleep I've ever had in my entire life. But I never struggled with sleep drinking caffeine. And allow me to elaborate upon that briefly, because I know a lot of people out there struggle with sleep. The reason why you're struggling with sleep is because you're drinking caffeine the wrong way. You're drinking it too late. My rule is, I do not consume caffeine in any way, shape, or form, unless it's decaf, after 11 o'clock. Okay? And even then, typically, I won't have that decaf. I'll have that decaf if it was a really productive and proactive day or morning. And even then, that decaf will never be after 3. It's a ritual, it's a lifestyle, it's a routine. I've created this, and I stick to these rituals because it accommodates a very structured and healthy sleeping routine. And this is critical because sleep is more important than anything else. Sleep, breathing water. You must sleep. It's human superpower that enables us to live as long as we do and thrive. So you have to accommodate your life in such a way as to make sure you can indulge these stimulants but still sleep. The problem is you're drinking caffeine too late and you're drinking too much. I don't care how big you are, how much you weigh. No person should consume any more than 100 milligrams of caffeine. That's all you need to feel good, to feel mentally clear, slightly stimulated but not anxious, super cool and super smooth, ready to kick butt, conquer, and accomplish anything. And if you reset and quit like I did for a substantial amount of time, this is the perfect reset to enable you to only consume 100 milligrams, and in some cases half, 50 milligrams, half decaf. You can consume less, feel better, sleep better after a reset, but I'll discuss that reset a little later. Having quit for right around 70 days and getting some of the best sleep of my life still didn't benefit me in the way that I thought it would. I had watched so many videos of people talking about how they were in a high and their life was so much better and everything improved. I'm here to tell you that does not happen. Those people only quit for a few weeks or a month, maybe 2 or 3. And they felt that way because they were trying something new. It was invigorating. It was interesting. It was placebo. Now, if you give it even more time, you'll start to realize what life is really like. I would say beyond 4 months, you're human again. And you know exactly what life is like. You have to sleep so much more to accomplish as much as you want in this modern day technologically sophisticated civilization, because there's so much we need to do and we're stimulated and distracted by so many different things that it's almost impossible this day and age to get by without caffeine if you're not sleeping constantly. I found myself sleeping 8 to 9 hours at night, taking a nap during the day, and then I didn't have nearly as much time to accomplish my goals. That's the truth. And the reason being is because your body needs to rest without caffeine constantly in order to accomplish or do anything that you desire and require. I felt more human. I felt like I started aging a little faster. I definitely wasn't as motivated unless I slept a lot. And then even then, if I slept a perfect 8 hours and tracked it and I dreamed, I still only had about maybe 6 to 8 golden hours until around 2 or 3 to accomplish as much as possible. And then thereafter, I would start feeling tired, slowly but surely, all the way up until about 9 or 10. It's a wrap. Now, granted, I always had consistent energy to accompany me throughout the day and enable me to do whatever I needed to do. You're going to sleep a lot more, and your sleep is going to be fantastic. But if you drink coffee in the way that I'm going to elaborate upon later in this video, I promise you could drink caffeine and sleep just as good as you would if you quit. In fact, last night, I slept perfect. I dreamed all night. And yesterday, I had a cup of coffee around 10 o'clock. That's the kicker. That's the secret. You have to time it just right. 5 months in, I'm sleeping real good. Granted, even though I'm sleeping really good, my days still aren't nearly as proactive, productive, and accomplished as I would have liked them to be and as they were before I quit. Sometimes I would just be in a really bad mood, but I found that when I relaxed and I sat down to watch television or sat down to do computer work, I did feel a little happier because it was nice to take it easy. So I guess because I quit caffeine, I felt like I indulged my relaxation a bit more. I appreciated downtime, but I still never felt like myself. Now here's where the crazy stuff started happening. Oh my God. 5 months in, this is where the crazy stuff started really adding up. Not only were my joints hurting like crazy, my knees were killing me. And I did everything: cold exposure, deep tissue massage, stretching, foam rolling, you name it, I did it. I still didn't feel like myself. The next thing that happened was every single time I went in public and I smelled coffee, like let's just say I went to Target, and you know how in Target they have those Starbucks in the corner and they're always roasting and brewing coffee? I would walk by those Starbucks. I would smell that coffee and my mind would want it so bad that I would get eye twitches. I'm not even kidding. And it got to a point where I pretty much had to avoid going anywhere where there was caffeine. If there was caffeine in the vicinity of that area, I couldn't go there. Because if I smelt it, it would legitimately derogatorily impact me. Now, what do I mean by I quit for 6 months? I quit for 6 months. No coffee, no pre-workout, no stimulants, no supplements with caffeine, no vitamins with caffeine, no chocolate, no caffeine. I personally only drink seltzer water or water, so I didn't have to worry about getting caffeine in soda or anything like that. I don't drink that stuff. Occasionally a cup of orange juice or some cranberry juice, but I did not consume caffeine for 6 straight months. When I reached 6 months, I had realized this is not fun. This is not fun. In fact, I went to an eye doctor because I was worried about my eye pressure. Okay? Check this out. I went to an eye doctor because I was worried about my eye pressure. There was so much blood flowing to my head because of the combination of meditation and quitting caffeine. The veins in my head were getting so big. The combination of my veins in my head growing because I quit caffeine and the meditation were causing so much blood vasodilation to my brain that it would cause eye twitching and facial twitching. So I went to the eye doctor and the doctor's like, wow, you have some serious twitching going on here, but I don't see this as a disease. Have you made any lifestyle changes? And I told him I quit caffeine for 6 months. He's like, no way. He's like, that's no fun. He literally said that right in my face, the eye doctor. And he said that could be the result of your eye pressure. The reason why you're experiencing this eye pressure and you have twitches in your face and your eyes are twitching is because the blood vessels are actually expanding to the extent of irritating and hitting the nerves, which was causing spasms in my body. Sometimes I'd have spasms on my back. Sometimes I'd have spasms on my head. It was really bad. It was getting uncomfortable to the extent of him saying, just drink some coffee. And I tried everything. I even drank tonic water to get rid of this. I took magnesium citrate every day. And although those products did help, kind of, I don't know if the tonic water helped. I think that's all just a bunch of bull. But the magnesium did help. Granted, my body was changing so much. I legitimately felt like my age. I felt 35. And that was the first time in my life that I felt my age. And that was the point that I realized this just isn't worth it. I can't do this anymore. 6 months of quitting caffeine, and I took very little from this. It was a wild time, to say the least. Ultimately, if someone asked me right now, Pete, should I quit caffeine? My honest opinion? Yes, but not permanently. I think every caffeine addict owes it to themselves to quit so that you could see what it's like to feel alive. You could feel what it's like to be human. You could feel what it's like to be your age and learn to live and adapt that way. And you can't do that in 3 months. You need to give yourself at least 6 months to truly comprehend what I'm trying to explain and convey here. That's how impactful this is. So, I think everyone should quit. Now, if you don't want to quit for 6 months, I get it. If you want to quit for a reset so that you can Integrate the routine I'm going to explain right now into your life and drink caffeine and indulge it as a treasure, a treat, a bonus, sprinkles on the cake, then I highly recommend you doing so. Okay, so the routine that I abide by is I go to bed no matter what, 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock at night, it's time to hit the sack. I lay down on my bed and I'm out within 5 minutes every time. And I drink coffee almost every day. Almost, but not every day. I'll explain. Now, after you quit for a minimum of 3 months and you reset your body, when you start drinking coffee again, have no more than 100 milligrams before 11 o'clock. And never drink caffeine as soon as you wake up. I've done a substantial amount of research and have come to the conclusion that the worst thing you can do is interrupt your wakefulness cycle. Do not drink caffeine or coffee until after 8:30. Trust me. And honestly, I think that's still too early. You need to wake up naturally. Allow your body to adjust to waking up. I like to wake up and do yoga namaskar. It's a form of yoga that enhances the blood flow to your brain. Thereafter, I hop in a cold shower to increase my circulation, brush my teeth, take care of my bathroom business, and then I hang on a pull-up bar to increase my cerebral secretion furthermore, more blood flow to my brain, stretch my spine out. I do a few chores around the house, and I wake up. By that time, it's usually around 7:30, 8 o'clock. I'll usually drop down and do maybe 50 to 100 push-ups and prepare for my day. Thereafter, I'll feel completely awake. Now, here's the kicker. Before you drink your coffee, I need you to look at a bright light or the sun. That's going to optimize on your wakefulness cycle in the best possible way, because looking at the sun, looking at brightness, is what wakes us up more than anything. You don't want to rely on caffeine or coffee to wake up. The moment you do that, it becomes an addiction. The moment you do that, you will feel like crap for as long as you drink it. In fact, if I wake up in the morning and by 8:30, 9 o'clock, my ritual that I just explained to you doesn't make me feel absolutely, positively, 110% awake, I won't drink coffee for 2 or 3 days because I need to thrive and rely on my morning ritual primarily in order to feel good, in order to wake up, in order to feel alive, in order to feel human. Thereafter, you add some sprinkles on that cake, baby. You add some icing, okay? Look at caffeine or coffee as a boost, as a bonus, as a treat, as an incentive, something to look forward to. And don't overdo it. Make sure you have lots of decaf around so that if you ever do want that caffeine, have a decaf. Sometimes, believe it or not, you want the smell of it and the ritual of it more than you want the caffeine. I don't know about you, but I like to sit back and smell a coffee brewing, sip on that nice hot cup of coffee, have a little snack, the good stuff. And I don't need the stimulant. I just love the ritual. Decaf is absolutely fantastic and necessary. Trust me, because check this out, the next step. You learned, have a morning routine that wakes you up. If you have to go to work by 8, then you need to wake up earlier. Wake up at 0400 if you have to. Make sure that you're awake and acclimating for at least 2.5, 3 hours. Do not drink your coffee right after you wake up. You wait 2.5, 3 hours, trust me. And if you can, wait longer. Drink it around 9 o'clock, even better. Because then it will last you until about 4. And then by 7 or 8, it's out of your system. Never drink caffeine or coffee after 11 o'clock. This is critical. Here's the secret. I recommend 3 days on, 3 days off. So 3 days you wake up and you have your caffeine, you have your coffee, your stimulant, you feel great, life is wonderful, you're motivated. After those 3 days, in order to maximize on continuing to benefit from caffeine, a lower dosage, and indulge it and enjoy it and not get addicted for as many days as you're on, you need to get off. This is not a drug. This is not an addiction. Well, it is, but not to us. And if you do what I say, it won't be. 3 days on, 3 days off. 2 days on, 2 days off. 1 day on, 1 day off. Always take time off. And please, for the love of God, keep it under 100 milligrams. Trust me. You go over that, that's when it starts to become a problem, because your body will want it that much more. The more you have, the more addicted to it you get, the more you gotta have. The moment you feel like you need it and that coffee or caffeine is manipulating you, you've gone too far. And that's when I only have decaf for sometimes a week. Get it out of your system for a little while, because then when you get back on it, it's oh so sweet. I want you to realize that you don't need to have it every day. You don't even need to have it every week. Have it occasionally, enjoy it in moderation. And that was really hard for me to comprehend and understand before I quit. I would watch people that said, oh, drink decaf sometimes. Stop for a few days. I'd look at them and think, no way. What are you, crazy? That's nuts. But after you quit for 6 months or even 3 months, you'll understand. If you could do it for that long, a week is nothing. A few days is nothing. In fact, I look forward to those periods of time because it's not enough time to get miserable, but it's enough time to crash. If I drank coffee for 3 straight days, that 4th day that I decide just to have decaf or water, and I will do that, detoxes where I'll literally just drink water all day, and I'll flush my kidneys. I'll drink 3 glasses of water, bop, 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 flush my kidneys. 6 hours later, bop, 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 flush my kidneys, get all that stuff out of my system, feel like $100 billion. That feels great. And then for 3 days, you're looking forward to drinking coffee. You're looking forward to consuming caffeine. And then when you finally have it and you get that sip, you experience that high. Everything gets brighter. Everything gets more positive. You end up having fantastic conversation with people. You feel more extroverted. It's wonderful. But you do not want to turn this into a ritual that rules your life. The moment you do that, you have to stop for a while. Do not drink coffee when you wake up. Wake up, create a structured morning routine that changes your life. In fact, I'll be uploading a video very soon that I think you guys and gals might really like regarding how to go from 0 to 100 and become a morning person without caffeine. This works wonders. Do that. It takes 30 minutes to do what I'm going to tell you in that video. Create a structured morning routine that wakes you up. It's very important to stay busy, look at brightness, look at the sun, look at lights in your house, stay proactive, stay on your feet. Don't try to get warm. Don't try to get comfortable, because warmth equals comfort. You want to be cold. Lower the temperature in your home just a bit. Get cold, jump in a cold shower, do some yoga, move around, stretch, feel good, hang, do some pull-ups, push-ups, clean your house. I find that doing chores in the morning, productivity, is fantastic. It increases wakefulness. It will wake you up so much faster than anything else. It's very weird. I know it sounds crazy, but if you don't believe me, do chores tomorrow morning. Go clean something when you wake up. All of a sudden, you're going to think to yourself, holy crap, I am completely awake. It's wild. Wait 2 hours after you wake up to drink your caffeine. Don't drink caffeine after 11 o'clock. Thereafter, you may or may not have a decaf or a little bit of caffeine. However much is in a decaf, a small cup, around 3 o'clock. Do not drink any caffeine after 11 o'clock. This is so important if you want to sleep amazing. Never break this rule. Never break this rule. Trust me. The moment you break this rule, it destroys your life. Because then you're relying on coffee to feel awake. The point is to use coffee as a treat, as a bonus. you don't want to rely on it. For as much time as you drink it, take that much time off. We discussed how it derogatorily impacted my life by quitting. We discussed how it positively impacted my life by quitting. And I just wanted to also spend a moment discussing how it positively impacts my life by drinking coffee. So first and foremost, like I had mentioned earlier in this video, throughout my time in university, I was fascinated by caffeine in general. I did a lot of research and wrote multiple research papers regarding caffeine consumptions and the human psychology, how it affects our body and mind. If you don't abuse caffeine, it can actually be extremely healthy and beneficial. Now, I'm not going to get into the scientific details. I'm not going to go down that path, or this video will be another hour long. I don't want to do that. I'm just going to explain to you how it positively impacts my life, especially after having quit for 6 months. So I find that I'm much more communicative. So if you're someone thinking about drinking caffeine, make sure you drink a small dosage, start light, build up. Don't ever go beyond 100 milligrams. I don't even care if you're 300 pounds. Stay under 100 milligrams. That's when it becomes a problem. It makes me more extroverted, whereas I'm typically an extreme introvert. I find that I could talk better. I'm more adamant about communication. I want to talk to people. In fact, I'm also a professional live streamer, and I find that on days that I live stream with caffeine, I'm so much more extroverted and communicative. In fact, I shot this video with a cup of coffee. I drank a cup of coffee and I feel great. You need to prove to yourself that you can do all these things without it. And if you can, you'll have that much more confidence in yourself when you drink it, if you know what I mean. So when I quit for those 6 months and I went to the gym and trained, it was so much harder than going to the gym with caffeine. And now that I go to the gym with caffeine, knowing that I quit for 6 months and got through those battles, those long 5-hour workouts and killed it, I kill it that much harder now. So just keep these mindsets. For me, coffee also makes me more creative, I find. And I'm a left-brained person. I'm more precise, obsessive compulsive. And if you're like me and you're like that, and you're very organized and coherent, concise, consistent, a creature of habit, you like things perfect, and you're a left-brained person, coffee or caffeine is great because I find that I don't even know if there's scientific evidence to support what I'm going to say, but once again, I'm sharing how I feel. I feel so much more exuberant and creative on caffeine. I just feel like I want to create. I'm more adamant about creating or doing anything. I find that if I drink a cup of coffee, I'm a fixer-upper. I love to fix things. I like to create things. And it just gets my mind thinking overtime. And I want to accomplish that much more. It's fantastic. But if you abuse it, you'll lose those effects. So that's why it's so important to take time off. Ultimately, as a whole, I love caffeine. I love coffee. And if you drink it in moderation, it is truly one of the best substances you could ever consume that will improve your life in so many different ways. I highly recommend, if you clicked on this video and watched it because you were deciding whether you wanted to quit or not, I do believe it's time for you to quit, because from a psychology perspective, as I am a psychology major, I would like to say to you that if you're here and you're watching this video, it's probably because you're thinking about quitting and you really want to see what it's like. I think you should. It's humbling, to say the least. But if you're going to do this, you got to go cold turkey. Full bore, 110%. And don't cheat yourself. If you have coffee machines in your house, I recommend recycling them. Get rid of them. Do not keep coffee in the house. Don't go near coffee shops. Don't go near Dunkin' Donuts. Don't go near Starbucks. Stay away from those places, because the moment you smell it, it's going to drive you crazy for days. Keep it away. Quit. Minimum 3 months. You'll start to see what I'm talking about. After you quit for those 3 months, you could start again into a way that accommodates your life and doesn't negatively impact your life. So I do think you should quit. If you're someone that has never drank coffee before, How do you feel having never drank coffee? Do you like your life? Are you happy? Are you suffering from depression? Are you down in the dumps all the time? Coffee could help. Coffee has been shown statistically and scientifically to prevent depression. It really gets those endorphins going. It makes you feel fantastic. It makes life funner. It makes life fresh. But I'm not an extremist, and I would by no means tell anyone they should or should not drink coffee. This is just my opinion, my experiences having quit for 6 months, having drank for over 20 years, and still drinking coffee. And I can officially and definitively say that I'll be drinking caffeine for the rest of my life, but in moderation, safely. I really hope this video helps anyone. Please, in the comments below, let me know. Are you thinking about quitting? If you are, and you need some help, you need some assistance, you need some tips, I can help you. If you're thinking about quitting, feel free to comment below. I'll answer any and all of your questions. Or you could personally email me. If you quit and you felt great, I would love to hear your opinions because I sure didn't. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think about coffee. Do you like coffee? Are you a coffee drinker? Don't abuse it because it's just like anything in life. If you abuse it, it will always have negative, derogatory side effects. It's just like every single thing that you consume in life. You could consume the healthiest thing. If you consume it too much, it becomes unhealthy. Even water. If you drank too much water at once, you could dehydrate yourself, which is what I had discussed previously in regards to a kidney flush. If you drink too much water all at once, really fast, what happens? You start peeing a lot. That's because your kidney is flushing your system. It's flushing your kidney, and it's actually really healthy to do this occasionally. If you don't believe me, try this. Drink a whole bunch of water all at once, flush the system. In fact, when you quit coffee, I highly recommend you do this at least once a week. Flush your system, get all the toxins out. Take care. One thing I wanted to explain before I end this video for anyone thinking about quitting, something that I absolutely positively have to elaborate upon, and this is critical. If you're thinking about quitting, make sure, step one, you remove all coffee machines from your house. You remove all coffee grounds. If you use the Keurig, like I do, make sure you get rid of all those pods. You don't have any temptations. Try to avoid any of those places that you used to go where you would buy coffee, like your local Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts. Wherever you purchased your coffee, stay away from those places. You do not need temptations when you quit. I don't even recommend having decaf when you quit because that decaf is going to lead to you wanting a cup of coffee, a cup of caffeine. So when you quit, go cold turkey. Stay strong, steadfast, stick to your goals. Tell yourself every day, no matter what, this is what I'm doing. The end will pay off. Trust. Another thing that will help you 110% is meditation. When you meditate, you're increasing the cerebral blood flow to your brain, blood vasodilation to your brain. That's what creates those supernatural experiences and those visions, which is why I love meditation so much. I recommend right before you decide to quit drinking caffeine, start meditating casually a few weeks or maybe even a few months prior to quitting. Meditate for maybe 30 to 40 days. Increase the blood flow to your head slowly but surely and inducing some pretty substantial head rushes. Then I would recommend taking that step and quitting because then your headaches won't be nearly as bad. I'm always here for you guys and gals. I appreciate you so much. I'm so thankful for anyone that stops by to check out my videos, and I truly mean that. Like, I love you guys more than you love me. I appreciate you more than you appreciate me. YouTube for me is a portal and outlet to meet amazing people, and if even one person sees this video, I am so appreciative of you. So if you ever need anything, I'm always here for you. I genuinely mean that from the bottom of my heart. And thank you for taking the time to stop and check my video out. You could be doing anything with your day, and you're taking the time to check out my video. You're hanging out with me. I appreciate that. I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. God bless you. I wish you nothing but the best on your journey. Whether you decide to keep drinking coffee, start drinking coffee, or quit, the choice is yours. And I'm curious what you decide to do. So feel free to share in the comments. Okay, crew. I'll see you in the next video.